Welcome back to another week of our Simply Sweet Sew Along. If you've been following along with us, you know we began this project back in the very beginning with block number 1. We completed all 7 rows of blocks, put those blocks together in rows. Last session, we put our rows together and added all our borders and made our binding. We have come so far, but we are not done yet. Today is the day we baste. This is not my favorite step in the process. I'll just be honest. You just got to get through this section. It can be a little bit messier, so I don't love it, but it's an important process. And this is what makes it a quilt, right? This is what brings it together, the 3 layers together. So if you haven't already, you'll want to gather the following items. Of course, you're going to need your finished quilt top. You're going to need a backing fabric, and you're going to need batting. The batting that I use, I'm not specific to a certain, not loyal to a certain brand. I do typically use 80% cotton, 20% polyester. Occasionally I'll use something different, but primarily that's what I use. And what was on sale the last time I purchased batting was Hobbs, so that's what I got. But I sometimes use Missouri Stars batting. I sometimes use Quilter's Dream. Those are the 3 main ones that I use, and really I just go with whatever I get on good sale. I like them all. I like the drape that's created with all of these, so I'm not too picky about it. So whatever your choice, go ahead and make your batting selection. As far as size, the quilt top finished measures 58.5 by, bad eyes, 58.5 by 66.5. So when we're quilting this on a domestic machine, which is what I'm planning to do. Now, if you're sending it off to be quilted, you'll want to get batting and backing per the long armor's preference. But for doing this on the machine, I typically have a minimum of 3 to 4 inches all around the quilt. So that would mean for my batting and my backing, the size would need to be 66.5 by 74.5, or I just round. So 66 to 67 inches by 74 to 75 inches. That should be plenty. So the next step in the process is, the other thing is, if you're backing, if you haven't already, like I said, because this is a smaller quilt, I don't know that you necessarily need 108 inch wide, but you're going to have to piece it together. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do that so you get, so it reaches at least those dimensions we just mentioned. And you'll want both your quilt top and your backing pressed and ready to go. I do not press my batting. I do sometimes, if it's really wrinkled, sometimes I'll toss it in the dryer, maybe a steam refresh on it, but it does not need to be pressed. The other thing we're going to need for this process is 505 spray. Now, if you prefer to pin baste, go ahead and do that. Okay, so before we get started, baby just decided to come and see me a minute, so I just wanted to introduce y'all. I don't think y'all have met baby. And this is Toby. Come here, Toby. Toby's here too. The dogs decided to come and visit with me a few minutes, so I thought I would show y'all our dogs. So this is baby. She's mine. She's my little 12-pound baby. She's usually right by my side, and quilting gets in the way of her being with me all the time. But she just moseyed in here a minute ago, so I just wanted to introduce y'all. This is baby. All right, so I went on ahead and just laid out my backing and my quilt top. I didn't put my batting on here because I know from the dimensions I'm gonna have more than enough. But I just like to go ahead and if you notice, I just pretty much have them in half. Let's see. So you can see right here, there's my backing, there's my quilt top. So I can see that I have plenty of room all the way around, a good 3 inches, maybe a little more at the top, the bottom, and more than that on the sides. So we should have no issues getting this basted and running out of space. Okay, so I have laid out my batting and my backing. So literally I just laid my backing out about the center of the table, laid my backing on top of that, and then I just smooth it out as much as I can. Now, if you notice at this end, I have some extra batting. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off because I can save that for another process. But let me go ahead and get this trimmed up. All right, so I was able to cut this much off, and this is off a twin size, so look at that. We have that much left over, so I might be able to use this for possibly a table runner, if not, definitely some smaller projects. So this will get saved. I also will sometimes piece batting together and make that Franken batting. Definitely saves a few dollars when you can do that. So I will set that aside. All right, so I'm going to pull it over because I want it to be about halfway on either side, as centered as I can make it. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, so now I just smooth this out, and I already did that with the batting. So I'm basically doing the same process with my quilt top, just getting it as smooth as I possibly can all around. Okay. I feel like that's pretty good. Of course, we're going to do a better job as we go. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and take my quilt top, and I'm just going to lift it about halfway. I basically have just pulled this back, and so about half of the quilt of the batting is exposed. And I'm going to take my adhesive spray. Again, if you need to smooth it out, this would be the time. Smooth it out again if you need to. I don't see any wrinkles at all in this batting. It looks good. All right, so shake your 505 spray really good. And I do kind of just apply a thin layer. And part of the reason I do it this way is I just don't want this adhesive everywhere. So I try to just limit it a little bit. And the one thing I do like about this adhesive, it says it's temporary. So basically it means, when it says temporary, it means you can maneuver it. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pull my quilt top. And I just start in the center and just smooth it. Don't want to stretch it. Just want to work that over. And it is really this easy. Yeah, my old system was using pool noodles and rolling them up, and I mean, it did a good job, but I didn't like that I couldn't necessarily see the edges of it ahead of time. And then when I saw this process, I'm like, not only is it easier, I can see the whole quilt. So I like this so much better. As long as, like I said, the main thing I was worried about is I don't want to have wrinkles and puckers and folds in my quilt back or top. And look how quick this is even compared to pinning. Pinning was hard on my fingers. Okay, that easy. So we will go ahead and I'm going to pull this down. Just repeat that same process. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so I've just switched over to the other side here, and I'm just going to peek, make sure my batting, I don't see any wrinkles at all. So I'll shake and start this process. All right, we are done getting our batting attached to our backing, and we're going to go ahead and do this identical process putting on our quilt top. Okay, I literally just flipped the batting with the backing over, and I just smoothed that out and then put my completed quilt top right on top of it. And I took a minute just to smooth it out like this. Made sure that my quilt top has plenty of room above it, below it, and on either side. So we have no issues running out of batting or backing. We're ready to go ahead and do that same process now. So I'm going to go ahead and fold the quilt top about halfway, like I did before. This is where being tall and having long arms would come in really handy. All right, it looks good. Here we go. All right, the main thing here is you want to smooth it, but you don't want to distort your quilt top. So just do it carefully. I definitely have a tendency to be a little too heavy-handed here, so I want to be careful that I get out any wrinkles, but I don't want to distort it. All right, I'm gonna pull the whole thing back. We're gonna switch to the other side. Our quilt sandwich is done. Look at that. Quilt sandwich, no wrinkles, no issues, and it was just that easy. Okay, we now have a basted quilt. So the little bit that I cut off, it's right here. I'll actually use this little section. I love having this little bit of extra. Again, it's not much to do with. It's got the adhesive on it, but it's perfect for me to do some practice quilting. Likely I'll practice on here to figure out what I'm going to do for however I'm going to quilt this project. I haven't figured that out yet, but that is the next step in the process, is to quilt this. So I will figure that out between now and when we meet again. Before we close this session, I just wanted to remind you that if you are planning to join us on our next sew along, I encourage you to go ahead and purchase either Layla Boutique's Miss Americana or Grand Finale. I'll be making both of these quilts for 4th of July. And if you're on the fence as to which one to choose, Miss Americana is definitely a quicker and easier quilt to make. It's just the American flag over and over again, and it's all squares and rectangles. So this is definitely a very simple one, but it's so pretty. So this is going to be a fun one. The other one is Grand Finale, It's more challenging than this, but not too challenging. If you've been sewing this with us, you can definitely do this. If you can make a sawtooth star, you can make this. That's really what it is, lots of sawtooth stars. Not hard at all. So I encourage you, if you're ready for a little bit more of a challenge than just squares and rectangles, make grand finale with us. And if you really want to have some fun, make them both. And when you look for these patterns, you'll be able to see all of the requirements that you'll need. We mentioned all of them last time, but basically it's a lot of fat quarters or yardage, however you want to do it. I have a fat quarter bundle ready to go, but you can always just pick some red, white, and blue fabrics from your stash. Use up what you have. That's another great way to do it. Thank you so much for joining us today, and until next time, happy quilting.